Oh yeah, yeah. We're live. We're live.
There we
Let's
go.
go.
That's simple.
Let's fucking go. All right.
TJ, like I know you didn't go to a TV school like I did, but usually there's a countdown. There's a heads up, we're about to go live.
We need one of those little spinny things. Actually, you might be able to do that. I'll see if we can do that. Yeah, I'll look at that. How you doing today, John? What's going on?
Doing good. Been it's a nice warm week here in Philadelphia area. We're in the 50s. Like the spring is starting to come. I'm starting to get that energy. The sun is still out right now, even though it's behind clouds. So it could be worse.
Yeah. It's all right here. It's not like super warm or super chilly, but I am digging the fact that we had the time change. I love that. I love going outside at 7 p.m. and the sun's still up. Puts me in a great mood. Puts me in a fantastic mood. I love that shit.
If I went out at 7 a.m. Or 7 p.m. or 7 a.m.
7 p.m.
Oh, okay, yeah, 7 p.m. for sure. I was gonna say if I went out at 7 a.m. I might appreciate that, but I do not. So
do you remember a couple years ago, or maybe last year, when Congress had this bill that was going to get rid of daylight? Yeah, what happened with that?
Nobody knows. No, but it was like presented, but it was never like moved forward. It just sort of died, and I don't know why.
Yeah, we should do an investigative report into this and find out to get to the bottom of this, because I don't know who has anything to gain by keeping daylight saving time. I don't understand it. Like who does that benefit? I really don't.
So I've had this fight with people before, and it does seem like one of the things in this country where no matter what happens, about 70% of people would support like just getting rid of the change and keeping it how it is right now.
Yeah.
With it being lighter later. There are parts of the country where it does, from like what I've heard talking to people, where that would cause it to be worse than the current situation is for them. Just like the way the sun sets, like they don't really need it that much later, but they do need it earlier. So in the winter, Heather agrees with us. Yeah, you're in one of the normal places in the country. The point is, there are places where it would be disadvantaged to them, kind of like for most people there. But like, come on,
how much do they really matter? Come on,
why are we like making the only reason this exists is because it's the status quo. This is a thing where like if you didn't have daylight savings time and you tried to propose it in the year 2024. It would have 0% support. Everyone would look at you like you had a third head. But for some reason, because we have been doing it this way and just continue to kick ourselves in the shin twice a year, I don't know why, but we just have to continue doing it.
It's terrible. I don't get it. And I'm not joking. We need to find out what killed this bill. Like what did they pull up Uma Thurman to do a third Kill Bill? And it's going to be on daylight saving? Because this is absurd. No, it is something noble. It's like you said. Well, you said nobody. I got to hear the reasons. I got to hear the rationale for this. Are you looking?
Okay, so the common reasons are. I found out what's the status of the bill. But the common reasons are that it's always like kids. Like, oh, we don't want kids waiting at the bus stop in the dark. And I'm like, well, install a public light then at the bus stops. I don't. It doesn't seem that difficult.
No,
like solar power lights, it would be free. But like. Then the other one is like, oh well, I like waking up early.
Fuck off!
I don't like waking up when the sun hasn't shown yet. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, you don't like waking up early. Great, that's wonderful for you. But the majority of the country wakes up at a certain time and is awake during a certain time. If the sun sets before 5 o'clock. That's like everyone's in work still and it's dark.
Yes.
Like how can you possibly ever suggest that like that's the better scenario to have?
I saw something about this that they're actually first off with the schools, the bus stop thing. Well, fuck you, of course. And by the way, we don't do anything about gun laws. I don't know if you remember this story. I saw this like last year where there was this guy who would just show up at kids' bus stops with like an AR-15 and just stand there. Like he didn't have any kids. He was just standing there. And like they would call the cops on him. There's like, well, he's not breaking any laws because you're apparently allowed to do that. You're allowed to just stand there with a rifle at the kids at the bus stop. He's like, hey, I'm just here to, exercise my Second Amendment rights. Like, buddy, what the fuck, man? So yeah, it's weird. So yeah, so trust me, we don't give a shit about kids. We've made that very clear. So the bus stop thing, I want to make that very obvious. And second, there's actually some data to suggest that the fall back part of daylight saving, it increases depression. Like people are,
oh my god, I have terrible seasonal depression. It's terrible.
And it throws off people's sleep cycles, and so people have more heart attacks. It's like it's really bad apparently. So yeah, we gotta get. If there's one thing we're gonna do on the left wing, we're gonna tackle the real monster in American politics, and that's our ever-shifting clock. We need to get to stop this.
This is one of those things where it's just like this has bipartisan support. It would be an easy win for whatever president
we'd elect Biden emperor for life if he got rid of this.
Yeah, well,
3 years. There's 3 years left anyway. It doesn't matter.
That's a good point. I did not catch the joke there. But it would be something that goes in the history books forever as a win in your presidency. Even if you did terrible things, you will be remembered as the president who ended daylight savings time, and America will thank you forever. This was in 2023. What's the status of the bill to make daylight savings time permanent? And where we are now, both the House and Senate version of the Sunshine Protection Act 2023 haven't appeared to go far. The Senate bill has been read twice and referred to a committee, while the House bill has only been referred to a subcommittee. So it's stuck in subcommittees, TJ. I really I should make a series because I need to learn more about this, about how the fuck, because there's the classic Schoolhouse Rock bill goes into a law, right? But the whole it goes into a subcommittee, does this, it does this, it does this. I actually don't have a very thorough understanding of that process, and I probably should. But it is a process that seems to have a lot of fuckery involved with it.
Yeah, I had to learn a lot about this when I was working in the state house here in Indiana, and bills originate in a specific committee. So if I don't know where the Sunlight Protection Act. Also, I love the names they give for these bills. I love it because I gotta tell you. That sounds like whoever killed this bill, that would make a great campaign. This person voted against the Sunshine Protection Act. They are anti-sun. Without the sun, we can't exist. I would go on that. But it's got to get through that committee of 10 people or 11 people. And then it goes to the boss of the committee. He's another committee that's over a bunch more before it can actually get to the floor. And then if they change it at all, it's got to go back to the original committee. It's this big, feedback loop before it even leaves one chamber. So it is actually pretty complex, but it is annoying. But yeah, that is of all the, you're right. We could I'm trying to think of presidents who are just shitty, but known for one good thing. And for some reason I'm blanking on that. And it's this kind of my thing. I can't believe I haven't thought of one this entire time.
There's a lot of the opposite. There's a lot of Truman. I couldn't tell you if he was a good president or not, but I know one thing about him.
Two.
To be more specific, too.
It's hard. I'm trying to think of a president who's I guess we have this habit of, they did something good, they must be a good president.
Yeah, we do that a lot. Lincoln, if you think about it, was probably a bad president.
He broke the Constitution. He suspended habeas corpus.
He caused the Civil War. If you look at just most things we judge presidents by, Lincoln probably wasn't the best at leading and securing the Union, but we remember him for the very one good thing he did, which is fair. I'm not against Lincoln here. I'm just
he broke
kind
the
of
Union,
overshadows.
Put it back together. It's kind of a wash.
He did. If only Humpty Dumpty could have been put back together again for him. But I can't think of another.
Yeah, I'll think of one 2 a.m. or something. I'm trying to think of presidents that
You know what? If there is one, and I can't think of what the thing is, but it's John Adams. John Adams is remembered as a terrible president for most of everything, but I'm sure he did one thing that is very vital, that was actually very important.
So John Adams is known as really an asshole. I'd say more of an asshole than a bad president, because the one thing that you can definitely file under the bad president part was the Alien Sedition Acts, when he essentially outlawed free speech. He's like, no,
Yeah.
you actually can't say anything bad about the president. I know all that shit I said, 15 years ago, but no, we're changing our mind on that. Another interesting thing about John Adams is that when the Boston Massacre, by the way, guess how many people were killed in the Boston Massacre, folks? If you
it's like 8 or something.
It's
right?
like 5, yeah, 5 or 6 people. It's not double digits. You're right. It is not double digits. It is a low amount of people. So massacre, the word meant a lot more back then apparently. But the lawyer for the British soldiers was John Adams. If you guys didn't know that was kind of a weird thing that he got them off. Like they were found innocent because it turned out that was an accident or something.
Wait, I didn't know he was the lawyer for the redcoats.
Yeah, he was because they needed representation in court, and so he volunteered to represent them. And so that's pretty wild, right?
That is wild. I can't imagine the campaign ads. Can you imagine if
can you? Oh my God.
If I don't know who's a lawyer. Obama was a lawyer, right?
He was he was a professor. He was a law professor.
A law professor.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't think of practicing lawyer as president for a long time.
That's actually surprising. But let's say one of the lawyers that are in Congress ran for president. Yeah. They represented Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Right.
It's just like, how would that go over in modern America?
That is wild. But I mean, like, it's kind of like we always talk about with lawyers is that, you can defend. Everyone's entitled to a defense. No matter how bad a person you are, someone's got to do it. That didn't have to be John Adams, but that was pretty funny. So I don't know if you saw, but I thought of the title for this live. I can't remember what it was, but it was basically making fun of. Do you see the Trump Bibles that came out yesterday, the day before?
Trump Bibles.
Oh my God!
This is funny. We've been on like 2 different news tracks this week. We'll mold. We'll like do a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to get all of the news for the week.
So Donald Trump is working with Lee Greenwood, the guy who sang "I'm Proud to Be American" song, and Donald Trump is now hawking the Lee Greenwood Bible. It is it's probably not even real leather. It's this brown leather bound Bible, and it's got the American flag imprinted on the bottom. And it includes a copy of the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the Pledge of Allegiance. Mm-hmm. And he is selling these Bibles for the low price of $60, $59.99. And of course, the surrender of your critical faculties. That's important too. And he has this 3-minute commercial that he's saying how important the Bible is, and we need to bring Christianity back to America, and it's important to buy this Bible. And of course, some of the proceeds are going to his legal defense fund, which is, of course. And I saw that, and it's like, man, this is a failed state. Like, there is no universe at all in which a former president and current presidential candidate should be doing infomercials for selling Bibles with the Constitution in it. It's like, the sooner this experiment ends, the better. And this has been an absolute failure. We dropped the ball in so many ways here.
That is something to make fun of him for. Because, first of all, my first thought when you brought this up, Lee Greenwood, I don't know anything about him, but that song should be the national anthem. That song is a banger, and I would rather sing that before sporting events than the Star Spangled Banner. His bridge is down. Just get rid of him, wash him away, and the Lee Greenwood Bridge, new national anthem.
How great is Francis Scott Key if he can't maintain his own bridge 300 years later? What the hell, man? That's good, man. That was good.
Busy watching the rockets' red glare, not busy watching the boat coming at you.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
We'll be talking about the boat later, but
the actual death and destruction. Yeah, we'll get around to that shit. We got to make it about Trump.
I will say, if we're gonna have death and destruction, that's really catastrophic. At least make it be as funny as a boat running into a bridge. Like that is the funniest way you can do that.
Oh man, do we want to save this one for tomorrow?
We'll put a pin in it. We'll chat a little bit more about it. Just we'll just kind of make fun of it, and we'll definitely do a topic on it.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So the boat thing, I just the captain survived the crash, which is unfortunate for him. Gotta tell you, unfortunate for him.
Gotta go down with this ship. I always used to think as a kid, like, oh, why would a captain go down with this ship? That seems really dumb to do. It's like, no, you should. This is why, because you have to live with being the guy who crashed your boat into the bridge.
Into a fucking bridge.
Imagine being the guy, if you go to a party and you're the last one to get there and you have to park your car and park everyone in, and you have to be that guy. That's like that times knocking down an entire bridge. Like, that's fucking awful.
I mean, you single-handedly brought like interstate commerce and shipping lanes like to a screeching halt because you didn't do your one job, your literal one job, get the boat from one place to another without it sinking, or hitting anything, and try not to hit the biggest thing in the river or the bay or whatever. Try not to hit the biggest thing around. If you can get by with that, you're going to be cool. And just, God damn, it's so bad, man. I do feel bad for that guy because obviously you can't get another boat captain job. I mean, that's done. Like that's you'd be insane to hire him after that. Even though he's probably had like a great record up until now.
Well, I haven't actually, so I'll research this more before we discuss it more in depth tomorrow. But from what I heard, he kind of saved the day. Like it's
the least you could do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like say what you want about Hitler, but he did kill Hitler type of thing. I mean,
I still don't know what went wrong here.
Yeah,
I wish nobody died. Like, I really wish nobody died because like it reminds me a lot of the Suez Canal, and that was just pure fun.
That was like, hilarious.
No one got hurt. It was just actually someone died trying to get it out of the Suez Canal.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like one of the people who were trying to get it out ended up dying. But I don't know how.
Yeah,
it's harder. So something I learned about like these boats are way bigger than you think they are. Like the one that got stuck in the Suez Canal was bigger than the Empire State Building. Like, and that's one of the things. So everyone's trying to like politicize this to their angle, and it's one of those nice issues where it's a freak accident, so you can just say whatever the fuck caused it, and you could be right, And it's like there is. With the Suez Canal, we now know there's a clear and obvious, like there's logistical worldwide shipping issues that caused that problem to be as severe as it was. I don't know if that's the case here. I don't know if like anything could have. It sounds to me like the boat ran out of power because of some freak accident and was unfortunately on a collision course with a bridge.
No, it sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
That's if it was something beyond his control, yeah, I guess he'll be fine. But now, so you're right about the size. The size of these ships is incredible. So yeah, the Suez Canal one. When I found out how large that ship was, I'm like, man, how does this not happen all the time? Like, yeah, I mean, because like one small error and that can happen again. And I'm shocked it didn't happen more. But I've been to Baltimore a few times. My parents used to live around there. The boats isn't the right word. It's like a small floating town, basically. They're enormous, just how the size of those things. So yeah, man, hitting the bridge. It's just like
with the size thing, the reason that like they're so big, that is a systemic issue where like the reason they're so big is that the people who own the shipping companies, like in the boats, they get more money per square foot with the biggest ship possible. However, that creates larger problems when they crash into things, and when they're trying to navigate particularly tricky waters that can cause choke points, like the Suez Canal or a bridge underpass. You have a risk of significantly damaging tons of supply lines. And then the other problem is that when they dock, it's like instead of having a constant stream of smaller boats that can be offloaded and moved to ground transportation, you end up with this scenario where there's just boat comes in, tons and tons of work, and then people are sitting around. And then boat comes in and tons of work, and then people are sitting around. And it's dumb from a supply line perspective. But because all that matters is the owner of the shipping company in terms of the boat size, and they're the only ones that have any control over that, well, they're just going to make it as big as possible.
Yep.
Everyone else can go fuck themselves. And I think it's actually a wonderful example of how even if you are like an egalitarian, like fucking, you need the fucking government. Like you need someone managing everything because the incentives don't always align appropriately. And this is a perfect example of that.
It is. But we wouldn't get these hilarious news stories, though. We wouldn't get that in this case. It was.
That's why I say the Suez Canal one is just funny. Like it probably did like hurt people in like a overall sense, but no one got hurt wearing it. So like,
what doesn't though? Yeah.
This one, we do have to be like, okay, respect the people.
Yeah, I know. I just happened to be awake at like 2 a.m. or something. I got to pee or something, and I checked my phone. I checked Twitter, and I saw, because it happened, I think, at 1:30 in the morning Eastern time or something. And I saw the video. Like, oh my god! My first thought was, oh, hold on, this is like 1 a.m. There's no one on that bridge. That's good. There are very few people. And then I learned like it was under construction or something. So I don't know how many people died. But do you know, it wasn't a lot, though.
Last I heard, it was like, I think it might have been less than were killed in the Boston Massacre.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 6 people.
I think it's 6 people too. So like, it might have been more since then. I don't know what the exact numbers are. Again, I plan to do more research on this.
Right.
I want it to be a more in-depth topic tomorrow. But yeah, it's a story, and it's one of those stories like the Suez Canal, like the submarine, where like everyone, like normal non-political people, are talking about it. Because it's just like, oh, that's kind of crazy. A boat just crashed into this bridge, and everyone, as I said, is just putting their spin on it. When what I've seen, it seems like it's just like, oh, this just sucks. Like,
and the worst people, we'll definitely talk about this tomorrow, because I had this written out as like definite, but like the guys who are going with trying to make it about race somehow. Like, that's the folks that's like, look at, we're hiring foreign workers to build bridges. There's a black mayor in Baltimore, and it's just nonsense and everything. I was like, God, like these people, I'm convinced are just trolling. Like, they're racist and they want to say racist shit. They don't care if it makes any sense at all, because people will notice it, and we do. That's been really annoying.
Yeah, that's we'll put a pin on there. We'll pick this conversation back up tomorrow. Make sure to join us. We're live again at 6 o'clock tomorrow for the standard show. We'll have a guest. What is his actual name? I forget his email is Comrade Workwear, but that's not what his screen name is. But we'll introduce him later. But back to the Trump Bibles. On this show is much less structured. So I think that if my fucking candidate was doing something that is so clearly and obviously a loser move, like, I feel like anyone could look at this and be like, that's a loser move. You're selling fucking like trinkets. You used to be the president of the United States. Like, his whole image is this big successful business person, and he's doing this clear and obvious scam the elderly business. Like, just like, how does anyone who wouldn't fall for the scam support the scammer? It just, like, it doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. It really, because like, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It is just. I always joked about that. Like, if I were still conservative in 2016, I wasn't. But if I were, Trump is where I would have drawn the line. There's no chance in hell I could have voted for Trump. And let's say I did. Let's say in some weird, bizarre universe I did. I wouldn't tell a soul. I wouldn't tell anybody. I'd be like, nah, I didn't vote that year. Because like, I would be just ashamed of like, oh yeah, this obvious, 1850s circus clown con man is my presidential candidate. It would be embarrassing to say. But I do got to say that he is scamming elderly people, but he's also scamming another significant chunk of the Trump voters, which are like, gullible racists. And like I said, those are the people who are they most deserve it. So yeah. I can't be mad at them for that, because they deserve to have their money taken from them.
I've said it many times. The greatest contribution Trump has made to our society is giving a bright red hat for all the idiots to wear, and so they're easily identified out in the public. So this is one of the things people have gotten mad at me for saying this before, but people will be like, would you ever vote for a Republican president? And I'm like, yeah, no, I totally would vote for a Republican president. And they're like, well, why the fuck would you ever do that? I'm like, well, if a Donald Trump ever got onto the Democratic ticket, I would be voting for the Republican president. And I know that you'd be like, oh, well, that would never happen. And I would have said the same fucking thing in 2016 about Donald Trump. Like, yeah, if someone this actively malicious was the Democratic primary, and right now we have a pretty malicious person as president for the Democrats. I'm still voting for him because he's better than the other guy. But if we had a Republican who was, a little more libertarian leaning in terms of personal liberties, a little less, wants to cut back on the military, wants to, do the right things, I might vote for him over a, staunch liberal moderate, potentially. Obviously, from a larger political scale, probably not. But if the liberal monitor is really fucking shitty on the level that Trump is shitty, I would at least be giving it a pretty solid consideration.
Yeah, it would. I mean, this goes down to what we talk about all the time, is that the name of the party doesn't really matter. It's the principles that the person stands for, or that the party stands for, because the party gives you a general, not perfect, but a general idea of what the person stands for. And Trump has transformed the Republican Party from a bad party, like an obvious bad party, to it's just him now. Like, it's just him. Like, that's the entire, which is, look, credit where credit's due. That's amazing. Like, that's amazing that one person was able to do that just by force of personality alone. And to the extent that he got the RNC chair fired. First, he got the RNC chair to drop her name, Ronna Romney McDaniel, because she didn't like it. He didn't like her uncle, and so now she just goes by Ronna McDaniel. And then he got her fired and put his daughter-in-law in her position. And they've opened. His daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, openly said that, yeah, my goal is to donate every penny to Donald Trump's campaign. And then the next week she came out and said, well, no, my real goal is to, help the Trump campaign, but I'm not going to donate every penny. And then they released like this super PAC for the Republican Party that said that they're going to donate everything. So Trump's going to steal all that money. He's going to steal every cent of that. And even if he wins, even if Donald Trump wins this year, he is going to decimate down ballot votes, down ballot races, because he's going to just suck them dry like he has been for 4 years now. And I love to see it. I love, you remember when people would joke that Donald Trump was like a plant to destroy the Republicans? That's exactly what's happening. That is exactly what's happening. And it's glorious.
It really is a very interesting game they're playing, because either they get their fascist dictatorship, or they lose everything. And it does seem like a massive risk to play.
It's insane.
Something that most of the party probably doesn't want.
No,
like it's very crazy how the powers that be allowed this to happen.
Well, most of the people, the elected officials don't want it. The voters do. The voters absolutely do. That's why it's working. Like, that's why it wouldn't work if the voters didn't want it. Like, they would pick Trump over every Republican 10 times over. Like,
so they would pick Trump, but they wouldn't pick what Trump actually is going to do if he takes office. Like if the American public were fully educated on,
no, I mean Republican voters, not the voter.
No, but even Republican, I would be willing to bet, TJ, that if you lined up all Republican voters and had them sit down and read Project 2025, they would probably not support Trump afterward. The majority of them. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wet, but I think that most of it is just because here's the thing. Most Republican voters don't know anything. Most voters don't know anything. Like, most Americans do not know anything about anything going on. And so they just vote for the name brand, right? It's the reason that you could say the same thing about Biden. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if, it's pretty obvious that we should run someone else. Like, it's not going to fucking matter, because the voters know Biden and they're going to vote for Biden. And I think the same thing is going on with Trump, where the majority of Republican voters voting for Trump right now, they're just rooting for the laundry. And they're just like, oh yeah, Trump's our guy. We're going to vote for him. They have no idea that he plans to institute fascism in America. Like, they have no fucking clue about that. I don't think they do.
I mean, I don't know what you've seen from Republicans in the past to make you think that. I really don't. Because I have no clue where you're drawing this inspiration from, because what I have seen,
Republicans in the past have never been this crazy. It's never been this crazy.
And that's what I'm saying. And they've been consistently like this every election. And to the extent that, whatever Donald Trump says, they're all for. You're right. They don't know anything, but they do know they love Donald Trump. And that's good enough. I mean, that's it. I don't know. I just don't think it would matter. I just...
we talk. Okay, so here, let me make my case, because I think I have a solid argument here. The people who we talked about this last week, the people who are closest to Trump have all not endorsed him.
Right.
And so, I feel like if you look at that and you're like, okay, you get a full education on Donald Trump. And these aren't even normie Americans. These are fucking conservative ideologues. And they're like Mike Pence is like, nah, I can't endorse Trump. And so if Mike Pence, and it's such a fucking ideologue, he's crazy. He's always been crazy, but he's not that crazy. And I think that most Americans, even Republican voters, would line up more along the lines of Mike Pence if they had all the information that Mike Pence did, and they were really thinking about it, they would probably align with him. That's what I'm saying when I say if they were fully educated on the position. But maybe they're just, again, are they dumber than Mike Pence? Maybe. I don't know.
Well,
it's a pretty low bar either way.
Well, man, I don't know about that. I gotta, I just, I mean, you talk to Republicans all the time. I'm amazed that I just, they have not shown me anything to make me think that they would balk at that for a second. If you asked honestly, I think actually, this is funny. I think this is one of the first disagreements we had when I first joined the show a long time ago. I said something about, if you ask the average Republican if they thought flag burning should be illegal, I think most of them would say yes. And I think you said no. I think that if you talk to them, they would. That maybe that wasn't you. I thought that was you.
That sounds like something I would say.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. The TikTok thing is what has me like, fuck, I was wrong about that. Right?
That amazed me, actually. That actually surprised me. The TikTok thing.
Yeah, I do think if you ask the average fucking Republican voter, they would say,
yeah, it's just vile shit. That's the problem. Like, the problem with Republicans are Republican voters. That's the problem. Like we pretend that it's all this other exogenous stuff. No, it's just Republican voters. It's just what they are. So they love Donald Trump because he is who they are. Like they're vain, self-absorbed, petty racists who just want to hurt people. That's what it is. Now I will say there is a significant chunk of like your Mike Pence style Republicans who still have awful views, but they're adult enough to. That's where like the Nikki Haley voters were. That's where anyone who latched on to someone besides Trump. That's where the Republican intelligentsia is, Republican media is. But that's like 25% of Republicans at best. I mean, it is a shrinking minority, and the majority of them, they're like, oh yeah, this is great because they don't know. And also, I just thought of this very important part. You said that if you sat down your average Republican and like showed them the issues and laid it out and they understood all of this, they wouldn't be Republicans anymore. If they actually learned stuff and knew what we're talking about, they'd probably stop being Republicans. So like
that's a fair point, TJ.
Yeah, like the knowledge of the world and what's going on and not having that is what's making them part of the Republican Party. So yeah, it's I don't know. I wrote a couple things down because I forgot to talk about it when you mentioned them. The national anthem. We're going back like 10 minutes here. This is a free-form show, folks. We are just like, this is just me and TJ. We basically pretend you're not here. It's just structure all over the place. But the national anthem. So you said that God Bless the USA should be our national anthem. So I loved that song growing up. It is a great song.
I did too. I loved that song growing up. Yeah. It was on my playlist. I'd be like listening to fucking like Eminem, and then all of a sudden, I'm proud to be an American.
But it's been tainted though. Like it's been tainted. Like unfortunately, we keep letting this happen. We keep letting the right take away stuff that is not theirs. And they've taken the American flag. They've taken church. I mean, they've taken stuff that belongs to everyone and made it their own. And they've successfully taken
Sweeney's boobs.
Sydney Sweeney. So that one I thought we were fighting over. I thought we were fighting over Sydney Sweeney.
So here's what I think was happening. So again, this is like I just kind of tangentially.
Yeah, I saw
culture war fights, but like I know that's big, and Sydney Sweeney is not a fucking Republican, and it's going to blow up in their faces. I forget what she said the other day, but it was like, oh yeah, that they're not going to like that. They've just attached their star to this blonde girl with big boobs, assuming she was one of their own. And that's it. They're just like, pretty looking girl, big boobs. She shows her boobs. She must be one of us.
It was because like that's a weird thing because I remember the first post. I forgot it was one of those like end wokeness accounts or whatever.
Yeah,
and they posted a picture of Sydney Sweeney in a low cut dress at whatever award show, and the caption just said "wokeness is dead," and it's like. All right, Sydney Sweeney's in a low-cut dress. So women wearing low-cut dresses is anti-woke now. This is weird because Republicans have always been like the purity brigade. Like, oh, cover up, stop being a degenerate. It's like, so which side of the aisle are you guys on here now? Like, do we get big knockers or do you guys get it? Like, what's going on? I thought that was our thing.
I'm gonna say so something that I have changed my mind on.
Mm-hmm.
Not Sydney Sweeney's boobs. I've had the same opinion the entire time. But one thing I've changed, so I often dislike when people have a specific pet ideology of theirs and everything is related to it. And I say this about like feminists and how sometimes they'll say, oh, everything Republicans do is just about controlling women's bodies. And I think that's an oversimplification. And I think that it kind of stops us from getting to the root cause of a lot of issues. But Jesus Christ, the way that the culture war is playing out right now, it's so clear and obvious. It's just about control of women's bodies. And like, you can't, like, I can't even anymore make an argument that it isn't. Like, it's just like, okay, so Sydney Sweeney being sexy, that you take that. But if they're Instagram thoughts, they're bad. But if they're OnlyFans girls, that's also bad. But if Sydney Sweeney uses her boobs to make money, that's good. And it none of it. It's just, we want women to do what we want them to do with their bodies in the context that we want them to do it in. And that is it. That's the entire fucking, you boil down the entire conservative culture or ideology. And that is it. We don't want women becoming men because that's one less woman for us to objectify. We don't want men becoming women because if we find them hot, then that is gay.
Yeah.
and we want Sydney Sweeney's boobs, but we don't want fucking Taylor Swift at a football game. It doesn't make any sense.
None of it does. It's incongruent, and the problem is that the right is in a weird way. Like so the problem we've mentioned many times with conservatism in general is that, and fascism is that it relies on an in group. It relies on an in group, and I mean, I guess it relies on out groups, and more than it relies on in groups, it relies on making someone the other. It's purposefully a small tent ideology, which is the exact opposite of leftism. Is that, hey, we want to incorporate as many people as possible and all work together toward a goal, and that allows us to run into problems because you'll have the queer community and the Black community and left-wing white people, and then you have Middle Eastern people. You have people all over the place, feminists and stuff, and so all these groups have major goals, but they also have minor goals that don't necessarily coincide, that other groups won't care about. So we have a hard time sometimes building these coalitions when the right has just been, oh, we're white conservative Christians, and that's all that matters. But the further they creep to the right, the more people they keep casting out of their tent. And now I can't remember who said this. I saw some Republican tweet this, and he was talking about Twitter and how he's like, listen, I'm actually kind of worried about the environment on Twitter right now because what I'm seeing is just a whole bunch of, Nazi adjacent accounts that are pushing all of our rhetoric. And that's good. Yeah. You think? Yeah. It's weird how that works, that when your entire party is relying on that kind of rhetoric, that you start to attract those people. And so now you're getting into this weird, like, infighting amongst Republicans. And hey, what do we actually stand for here? Do we really hate this idea of women having any control of their sexuality? Or do we actually be honest about it and say that we like it and that group's actually fighting? Like the Ben Shapiro versus Andrew Tate type of people, like the fights they have. So yeah, it's pretty fun to watch.
I would pay more than I would for a Trump Bible to watch Andrew Tate fight Ben Shapiro. That
would be a physical fight?
Like a physical fight.
Oh,
yeah. It'd be A+ television. I've long said that one day, if I ever ran for president, I would during the debate challenge my opponent, assuming that it wouldn't look like I'm punching down. Challenge my opponent to a fight pay-per-view for charity. $1 billion it'll do. And are you going to turn it down? The fucking starving children, charity of your choice, bro. All the proceeds, they go there. You can do whatever you want with it. They can go to your campaign for all I care.
That's funny.
Let's fight. And they would have to reject. And it would just be wonderful. It would be the best money I never spent.
That is funny. That is funny. My opponent is a coward. My opponent does not man enough to face me. Like,
you know what? The people who would get mad about that sort of thing, like people on the left, wouldn't fucking care. Like, they would still vote for me. The people who would buy into my opponent is a coward sort of thing are the people who support my opponent.
Oh my God, that's so true. Because that's where the dumb people are. That's where
exactly.
The idiots that like the shaved ape mentality kind of works. I was like, well, I guess he must be a coward. He didn't accept the fight in the octagon. He must be an idiot. He's like, I say this all the time that, look, there are plenty of there are smart conservatives. Like there are smart conservatives. They do exist. I've met several in my lifetime. So I can't say that all conservatives are idiots, and I can't say that all leftists are geniuses, because I've met some incredibly stupid leftists, but I will say that in your friend group, that the dumbest person in your friend group is 100% a Trump supporter. Absolutely. There is no question about it. Like, no matter who you are, think of like the most mouth breathing, knuckle dragging simpleton you've ever met. It is a lock, like a solid guarantee that person's a Trump supporter. And don't try to say that he's not, because you know he is. Like it's that's like the one that he appeals to, like the dumbest person possible, and so does a lot of conservatism. So yeah, that would work on those kind of folks.
It's so. I was thinking about the dumbest person in my friend. Yep. Checks out. Yeah. But it's actually the dumbest person in my friend group. Actually, has been losing steam with Trump. Like back in 2016, he's a frat guy. All the frat guys love fucking Donald Trump. But like, and he's not someone who's locked in the news. But he has, and he's an idiot. But he has been like, hey, John, I heard about this. Is this real? Like with some, and that's why I say things like if people really knew what was going on, because I've watched the dumbest person I know go from full on Trump supporter to, I don't know, I might be voting for Biden. So like, and that's without me pushing it. Like, I don't fucking talk politics with him unless he asks, because my God, why would I do that to myself? But like, it's no pushing from me, no pushing from anyone. Just like, yeah, I think that's why I say like when Trump gets on stage during the debates and normally Americans are watching and he says he's going to be a dictator for the day, that's going to hurt him significantly.
Oh yeah.
And when Biden goads him into supporting an abortion ban live on stage, it's going to be bad for him.
I agree. I have to say, I agree that Trump's rhetoric and his actions and just him being who he is, it definitely hurts him with the majority of voters. Republicans, it's just like, it's a small segment who really like him. I don't know how. I think he's done all the damage he can do with the Republican base. I don't think that's going down any. But yeah, the more Trump talks to people, the less people are going to like him. I agree that's true. God, what was that noise?
That might have been
me. Kristi Noem is another person. We were talking about being embarrassed about. Did you see what she did with the veneers and stuff?
No.
She did an infomercial too. So Kristi Noem, for those of you who don't know, is the governor of South Dakota, I think, maybe North Dakota. I can't remember.
One of the Dakotas.
One of the Dakotas. Yeah. Why are those even states anyway? Combine them into one state.
Why are they two different states? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there's like 500,000 people in each state. Like that's the size of a major city. Get the fuck out. In fact, the only reason that they are two states is because back when they were admitted into the Union, the Republicans wanted 4 senators to not do. I'm not kidding. This is actually why. And so they made it. Yeah, it's the smart thing to do, right? But she did infomercial on Twitter. Once again, another like 2-minute infomercial for like these veneers for her teeth. And she just posted it like to her official Twitter account as governor of the state that by the way, it was for a place in Texas. It wasn't even a place in her home state, which, I know, right? It's like she wasn't even promoting the business or tourism. You shouldn't even say, no, I'm just going to do a commercial for these people. Like she fucked up her teeth in like a motorcycle accident or something. And so she went there and apparently no one could fix her teeth in her state. She had to go all the way to Texas to get it done. And then that was pretty weird. But then she ended up doing another one for like insoles for like shoes or something like that. And it's like, all right, are you not making enough money as governor of the state here, Kristi? Like, do you have gambling debts or something? It's so strange. It's like, I don't know what's going on with this country, man. It is odd.
The teeth one, I could have given her the benefit of the doubt, being like, maybe she had a great experience. She just genuinely wanted to help out this place that fixed her teeth. I can see that. But yeah, the insoles one, you're not getting me on that.
Yeah, you're just chasing a check now. Like this is what's going on. We all know what's up here. That's and I don't know, like, and I guess is that legal? Like a lot of people are posting, I mean, I don't think that would be. Like maybe like after you're governor you can, but you would think that while you were in office you couldn't do so. I don't know. I don't know the law behind that, but it seems weird. Like it does seem weird, right?
That does seem like it should.
Yeah.
That should be again, like campaign finance law is very fucking lax, but like that does seem like one that it feels like there must be more red tape than just like, hey, you want to do this commercial? Like it must be at least difficult like to do something like that. Like I don't know.
So
maybe they're donating her pay to a charity, and the charity just happens to be her super PAC. I don't know.
So, but like you said, this could be explained if, hey, like they did a knockout job on my teeth. This is great. I want to do them a favor. But then she does another commercial. Come on, all right, wait a minute, hold on. It's the red flags are coming up here. I wanted to. Oh man, if it's
can you just imagine if Barack Obama was just he showed up? You're like watching like fucking like cable news. You fell asleep. It's on. You wake up at 1:30 a.m. and like fucking Barack Obama's like hucking some like
he's doing a LASIK commercial or something.
Yeah, he's some like super vacuum cleaner. Like look how much it sucks up. You know? I wish I had this to clean up the mess in 2008.
In the presidential tradition, I went to Hoover vacuum cleaners and they got this all taken care of. I mean, it'd be so ridiculous, man. I don't get it. I don't understand. I wanted to talk about this too. This might be another tomorrow subject too, because I have a lot of fun with this one. Candace Owens is
that was one of mine for tomorrow too,
no longer employed at the Daily Wire. A huge loss to a great organization.
That shoe has been dropped. I'm surprised she made it this long.
I kind of am too.
I actually have to say, I've always said I have respect for Ben Shapiro. Like, fuck him, he's an evil person, but I at least respect his evilness. But like, I will respect that they stuck with their principles and kept her on for as long as they did. Because like, say what you will, but like, her and Ben fucking hate each other. Like, absolutely fucking hate each other. And it was always going to come to this because she's a little anti-Semitic and he's a little bit of an Israeli fascist. And it was always going to come to a head. But like, Jesus, they kept her on for so long.
So
long. That was shocking.
She played a vital role, though. I mean, how many like black female hard right conservatives who honestly she does have the skill of
there's one of them and it's Candace Owens.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's like and any other ones are not going to be half as good as she is, and she's attractive. Let's not remember this is a visual medium, and so like she's young and attractive, which helps out too when you're we would know, am I right, John? For how it brings the audience, but so she did play a vital role. I do get why she was a valuable asset, but man, I was like, she would have been fired anywhere else on earth, like not conservative or otherwise. Like she would have been fired anywhere else on earth. And she first, I was actually a little surprised when she wasn't fired for the Kanye stuff. And to be fair, we don't know if she was fired or if she quit. We don't. Like they haven't announced one way or the other. Like she may have just quit because it did seem like she was trying to get fired. And maybe that's why Ben Shapiro's like, no, she's trying to get fired, get a severance package. Nah, you need to quit. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But when Kanye West put out that tweet saying he was going DEFCON 3 on like the Jews, like he did. I mean, it was just it was obvious anti-Semitism. And then Candace like, whoa, hold on. Oh, come on. Like, what are we jumping down Kanye? I was like, are you insane?
What are we doing it for? The anti-Semitic, the Hitler talk. That would be what we are doing.
Yeah. So what John's referencing, for those you don't know, is that a few years back, Candace Owens was with Charlie Kirk, and they were talking about Germany and Hitler, and Candace Owens said, the real problem with Hitler was the fact that he tried to be a globalist because, they were defending nationalism. And she's like, I don't think the word nationalism is bad. And like, for example, if Adolf had just stayed within the bounds of Germany, everything would have been cool. The only problem with him is it's like, whoa, what? I mean,
when Charlie Kirk is like, whoa, that's a little racist for me. Like,
you know, reminded me of. Did you ever watch The Boys? I think we talked about The Boys. Yeah. When Stormfront is talking to Homelander's kid, and she's like going off on this wild, like racist tangent and stuff. And Homelander's like, what the fuck? Like when Homelander is like, what is going on here? You've gone off the rails. And so let's be idiots here and give Candace Owens the benefit of the doubt. Like she just misspoke about, how Hitler wasn't such a bad guy after all. If I had done that, let's say I misspoke and said something like that, the last thing I would ever say is I defend Kanye West for his obvious. I would never say something like that. And she said it multiple times and didn't get fired for it. didn't get fired for it.
That is such a great point. Of it's something that just is missing from discourse at all. Is that there's a lot of like dog whistle talk. It's like, oh, what's a dog whistle? What isn't a dog whistle? Yada yada yada. And the thing is, if you do it one time, I'll believe you. I will wholeheartedly be like, you know what, bro? I'm gonna trust you, and you didn't realize, the meaning of the words that you said. You didn't realize that was a racist dog whistle. Cool. Second time you do it, okay, bro. If I depending on other context, maybe I'll give it to you. But like, we're starting to stretch the line here. After that, you need to be hyper vigilant to make sure you never dog whistle ever again. Because like that's your responsibility. Like as someone who is of influence, it is your responsibility to make sure. And I said this originally about like Donald Trump and like January 6th. It's like, okay, even if I bought your shit that you didn't realize that this was going to lead to a violent insurrection and like whatever. Now you know that. So when you say rhetoric like bloodbath, you need to avoid doing that, because if you don't, you either don't care or you are actively trying to instigate it, and neither of them is defendable. Like, you have a responsibility, but I guess it's half the country just doesn't, I wouldn't say half the country. I think most of this country doesn't think that we have any responsibility to like not say shit that could lead to rampant racism and death and destruction.
Yeah, and there's a solid chunk of the country that knows it and likes it, and that's I mean what I would say that Trump and Candace Owens are appealing to. Oh, like with Candace Owens, when she would when Ben Shapiro spoke out, like he would criticize Candace Owens on this stuff, but didn't fire her or anything, and she like got into a Twitter spat with him over the Kanye stuff. And she said that, or maybe it was Palestine. I can't remember which one it was. By the way, I hate that Candace Owens, never mind. But
I hate that she's on.
I hate that, right?
I hate that we have to share a space with people.
Yeah.
We don't have to share the space, but we have to share the position at least.
Well, and what's obvious, like to anyone who's not being, disingenuous about this, is a very different position to say, what the Israeli government is doing is wrong. I don't like that. And I'm criticizing Jewish people, which is what Candace Owens is doing. Like anything Jewish, she's suspicious of. But she wrote two things towards Ben Shapiro on Twitter, or like aimed at Ben Shapiro, where she said that you cannot serve God and money. Which is a quote from the Bible with you guys that was like, you cannot serve God and mammon, which is we were telling that towards a Jewish person, like, that's kind of all right, that's interesting. All right, maybe, but he does own a company, so there's money involved. So look at, but then she followed it up by saying Christ is king, which you do both of those back to back towards the Jewish person. This is obvious anti-Semitism. And there's like an old guy on the Daily Wire. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he's like a bald guy with glasses. He's an old man. He has a show. He's not like the popular guys like Matt Walsh or Michael.
It's not the co-owner of Jeremy Boeing, right?
No, that's not Boeing. It's a guy. It's a host. I can't remember him, but his name. But he did a video talking about this on the Daily Wire. And he was talking about dog whistles. And he said, I know that that's the leftist word, dog whistles. But we got to be honest here that Candace Owens was using anti-Semitic dogs. Like, okay, now you guys know what dog whistles are. Okay. All right. I see what it is now. Okay. This is making a lot more sense. We don't care if you guys persecute other minorities. But once you start going after ours, okay, now we have an issue. Yeah.
And that's the weird. That is the weirdest thing about Israel in general. And the weird way the ideological party lines get drawn, because it does show a clear-cut problem with the Republican Party and conservative ideology. Like you were saying, is that if you cut enough people off, eventually you're left with no one. And even the people who are willing to stick with you, it's going to cause problems one way or the other. And Ben Shapiro, it's not going to work for you. It'll work for you in Israel. Like, you like the fascism, authoritarianism, you can go to Israel anytime and you're going to be fine there. But like here, they're going to come for you eventually. You're not going to be one of the cool kids. Same thing with you, Candace. As soon as you're not hot anymore, it's not going to work out for you. And I don't understand why they don't see this.
Andrew Klavan, that's the old guy by the name on Daily Wire. That's the Andrew Klavan. But it's weird when because it's like you were saying. the clock is ticking on your usefulness here. And maybe then again, but Candace Owens, that doesn't really work either, because it's not like she's going to become a liberal or something. That's not going to happen. So, or I don't know what she's going to do, but I can't imagine that turn ever working. It's like Dave Rubin, buddy, like your time's limited too. They're not going to keep you around for very long. Milo Yiannopoulos, he was kicked out for being a pedophile. So I guess that's where they okay, when we openly know this shit, Republicans only support you for being a pedophile if you run for Senate. That's the only time that they'll support you for that. You'll be cool if you run for the Alabama Senate.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was gonna say, and then Ben Shapiro, yes, it's like you guys all belong to minority groups, and eventually they're gonna come for you because you keep moving further and further to the right. And I saw this with we mentioned Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes, because Charlie Kirk would always criticize Nick Fuentes. He would always talk about how wildly far to the right he was. Now Charlie Kirk sounds exactly like Nick Fuentes did 2 years ago. And Nick Fuentes actually pointed this out. I saw a few weeks ago. He's like, yeah, Charlie Kirk used to always criticize me, but now he sounds exactly like me, except for Israel. That's the only issue where Charlie Kirk hasn't sounded word for word like Nick Fuentes. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's so what I was going to say is the thing that I think that needs to get highlighted here is that poem is very common, well known. I would say most Americans have heard it, if not the words. It's like at first they came for whatever, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't that, and whatever that poem is. But
first they came for the socialists.
Yeah. So like people understand, even if they haven't heard that poem, that's a fairly well known concept in America, even for normies. But the thing is, like, that people don't understand is that is a necessity of fascism. Like, it is a systemic necessity that you need to keep chiseling away, because if you don't, you run out of people to blame. And if your entire reason for keeping power is to fight a specific group, well, you're not going to stop being in power once the group is defeated. And so you're going to have to move to the next group up the hierarchy ladder, and eventually they're going to come for you. And it happens every single time because it's a systemic inevitability of the ideology. And it just really blows my mind how it's not ever fucking discussed in mainstream discourse.
We is not smart. We is not smart.
We is not smart. We are coming up on an hour here, TJ. So let's set our topics for tomorrow. So
let's do it.
We've already. This is why I'm saying, like, you. So TJ, before we went live, TJ goes, "It's been a slow news week, right?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I feel like there's very obvious, clear stories here. So Candace Owens is a story. The boat is a story. Ronna McDaniels, which we haven't talked about today, but Ronna McDaniels' whole MSNBC fiasco is a story. And I guess I don't have a clear-cut fourth story, but when I have three clear-cut stories, it's a decent news week.
So I have all three of those written down as possible topics, but the only one that I consider like an actual story is Ron McDaniel. Like the boat one, I guess, is like that's like a you know what I'm saying? Like it's
that's a story of the day.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
It's not going to have any sort of
a huge politics stuff.
Yeah.
And I also had so Marjorie Taylor Greene filed. Well, kind of. She filed a resolution to recall Mike Johnson. Did you see that?
I hadn't seen that. I saw rummagings about her, and I was like, I'll look into that later.
Yeah. So if you guys remember when Kevin McCarthy got the Speaker of the House job, he had to sign an agreement saying that any one fucking member of the House could call for a vote to get him removed. And then Matt Gaetz exercised it last year. So Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't like the job that Mike Johnson is doing. So she filed a motion to, I forget what it's actually called, the actual vote called to get him replaced as Speaker. But once again, this is more like the parliamentary procedure. She filed the motion, but didn't bring it to the floor, I think is what she said. And she's like, said it's kind of a warning shot to him. So I want to bring that up. And also with the fact that we have so many Republicans who are just quitting, just dropping out. And so now their majority is down to like 3 people or something like that. So, and that could be tied a lot in with Donald Trump and the Republican Party being in absolute disarray. Because
I think that all kind of ties into Ronna McDaniels. Here
you're right. It does. Yeah, it does. Here
are my suggestions. There was a couple obvious ones that I totally forgot about until I just like looked at the news for a second. The UN ceasefire resolution. didn't necessarily happen super recently, but we'll have plenty to talk about regarding that and Netanyahu canceling the scheduled visit and all of that. Because I do think that we are really starting. We said this a while ago, but I do think that the dam is breaking. I think this is over if we're still talking about this in May, I'm going to be surprised.
Yeah.
I think the shelf life is approaching the limit, and I think that we can talk about that tomorrow. But we can also talk about not the Trump's Bibles, but the other much larger scam that he's pulling off right now. Truth Social's going public.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's plenty of meat on that bone. So I think we can
put that in with Trump scamming the RNC.
Yeah. So that works. We'll have we'll do Candace Owens, Bodie McBoatface, Trump's scams of Truth Social, the RNC, and Ronna McDaniels, which might end up just becoming two separate videos.
Couple seconds.
But we'll just kind of lump them into one, and then we'll also talk about our dedicated Israel discussion for the week. The guy that we're bringing on is a far left man. He's a self-avowed communist. More along the lines of Leah. So he'll have plenty to say about it. But yeah, his name is Comrade Worker. So that to put into perspective. But yeah, that is going to be our show tomorrow, folks. Let us know when you're watching this. Over the next 24 hours. Let us know in the comments what you're looking forward to the most, and we'll maybe put some a little extra attention to it.
Cool. Thanks a lot, folks. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.